Welcome back to the OKC Foodcast, your guide to the food in Oklahoma. This wasn't our plan for a return, so Keith, just so you know, this is going to be our first episode back after our year of hiatus last year. The plan was to introduce the two wonderful co-hosts I have sitting in front of me, Christina and Josh. But this was such a unique opportunity to have Keith from Sando.itchi on to talk about their incredible pop-up that they have in Oklahoma right now at this moment.
I'm so excited about this.
Yeah.
So could not say no to that. So we're back, people, and we're joined by our wonderful guest, Keith, who is coming in from California.
Hey, guys.
Keith, some people probably have heard of this pop-up. You've been operating for, when this podcast comes out in a couple of days, it's going to be 2 weeks. And Sunday, which will be 2 days because this will drop on Friday. Sunday is when ordering opens back up. And you just gave us this wonderful bit of information that I think people should know about.
Yeah, so our pop-up at this point has been in OKC for about 2 weeks. And because of the big turnout that we've had, so much support and love that we've gotten from the local community there, that we're extending it for a third week. And so all of our ordering is done through a pre-order process. That's still going to stay the same for the first couple of days. And then we're actually going to do a special event on the very last day that we're in Oklahoma City. We haven't released the details yet. But if you follow us or have been following us, all of our different cities that we usually go to, we always try to do something special at the end. So in New Orleans, we actually teamed up with the Ace Hotel. We did a one-day event there, had like a line that was about 4 blocks long. Really good energy though. Houston, we did a one-day food truck. So we found a food truck. Never worked in a food truck before, but we found a food truck. We found someone to drive it for us. We actually wrapped it because we're really big on aesthetic and how we're presented. So we wrapped it, served food out of it to a line that was like 6 blocks long in Houston, and then we unwrapped it all in 24 hours.
Wow.
So we have something special,
So
special plan for OKC. It should be exciting. What I'll say is we are going to be introducing a brand new item that we've never done before, but ties back to our brand and how we started.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
And you are being very tight-lipped about what it is. When, I was going to push you to tell us what it is.
So tell us what it is.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I could probably tell you what it is, or at least of what I know it to be, since I'm not actually in the kitchen and they're actually doing R&D as we speak. So it may be a different version of what I'm speaking on.
Okay.
But it actually all came, it's like full circle, because us as a brand started exactly a year ago, June of last year. So we launched in the middle of the pandemic. We launched pretty much with an Instagram post that's still on our feed today on June 14th and said, Sando is coming. And that's how we launched ourselves to the world via social media. But how it started is I've been friends with the guys that we do Sando.itchi with for a long time. It's myself and 3 other guys. It's Andy, Angel, and Stevie. And we've just been friends for a long time. Angel, Andy, and myself have worked on a bunch of different projects, mostly in kind of the fashion apparel world. So that's my background. And Stevie has been a chef for as long as I've known him. And he's always wanted to evolve and elevate his craft. And so, he's worked at some of the best restaurants, I would say, in the country. So he's worked at Morimoto in New York. He's worked at Momofuku Co. in New York. And whenever we talk and we catch up, I'm always like, hey, whenever you're ready to do something, let us know. We'll do what we can to help you. I don't know anything about food other than what I like to eat. I kind of mess around in the kitchen at home, but I'm nowhere near what Stevie does. But what I do know that we're good at, me, Angel, and Andy, is that we're really good at storytelling. We're really good at building a culture around what we do. building a narrative and giving ourselves a voice for whatever it is that we do. So I told Stevie, hey, whenever you want to get down and let's work together. And so once he was done with New York, he decided to go back to Texas. And he was like, yeah, I'm ready to kind of start something on my own. And so as we're exploring what that idea could be, we're going through just what we like when we travel. We were lucky enough that pre-pandemic we were able to all travel a lot.
Mhm.
So go to Tokyo a couple of times a year, go to Paris a couple of times a year. And Japan always came up in conversation. Like, this is what we love about traveling, is getting to see new places and staying inspired. And Japan, Tokyo in particular, was always what we gravitated towards. And if you go to Japan, or if you're familiar with it at all, you go to any of the convenience stores, the konbinis there, the 7-Eleven, the Lawson, the Family Mart, and they're nowhere near what our convenience stores are here in the U.S. It's just a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner. The service is a little bit, but the food is just way, way, way better. In particular, you're talking about their Sando, which is their prepackaged sandwiches, and they're all just, they just look really pretty on the shelf. There's a ton of variety, and that's what we gravitated towards. So we're like, hey, can you take this kind of humble product that's very commonplace in Japan? Could you elevate it? Could you actually do something to put our twist on it? Not, I want to say, can you make it better? But that's a relative term, right? So it's like, can we put our own twist on it? Could you use local ingredients? Could you take your fine dining craft, and could we elevate this? And we started, tweaking with that. And eventually this would have been at the end of 2019. I would say we had a brand, we had a product, we had a menu. And so we were going to take it kind of the traditional route with brick and mortar. And so we started looking for property, real estate, and all that. And then now we're getting into like early 2020. And then, of course, just like everyone else, COVID happened, and things just kind of stopped. And then for a couple of months, we were just kind of like, what's happening next? What's the next step? And for a couple of months there, we weren't sure. It was a big question mark. But one thing I started noticing was that a lot of restaurants, no matter how big they were or small, they were just being really innovative with their pickup and carry out options, right? So that's the only way you could survive during COVID. Was you had to be creative, you had to pivot, you had to start offering food that maybe you normally wouldn't offer, but it was easy to pack up and make it to go, and you could push it out really fast. And so I said, why don't we just kind of lock into that? We don't have a place to work out of, but we have a product I think that would work and that people would like. And so, let's just put it out there. So this would have been early June, late May, early June of last year. And we decided let's just launch it. And when we did that, it wasn't even, we didn't intend to make it like a marketing thing, but I just said, hey, Stevie, make as many of these as you can. He was actually working out of his home kitchen at this point. Make as many of these as you can. Let's box them up. Let's just give it out to our friends. And it would just be like a feedback loop. Like, tell us, hey, is this any good? Can we sell this? What do you not like about this?
Right.
And then
we like it because we made it.
Yeah.
Instantly though, it was like people were just commenting, and well, of course we live in the social media age, so everyone was just posting everything. At this point, we didn't even have the Sando.itchi Instagram page up. So people were just commenting and tagging Stevie's personal page. And he came back and was like, hey guys, I have like 50 messages of people that want to know how they can get their hands on this. And so I was like, we have a business. So,
Let's just start a business.
we had parked the Sando.itchi Instagram page just to hold the name. So I said, yeah, just tell people to start posting or tagging that page, and we'll put a post up. And that was June 14th of last year.
Nice.
And we just said, hey, let's start taking orders. And it was just as scrappy as you think, this sounds. It was probably even scrappier. We're like, DM us if you want to place an order. And then we took your order, we put it into an Excel spreadsheet, Then we went to the grocery store, bought the product, and then was like, okay, your order's ready. Can you Venmo us the money? And then we'll tell you where. At this point, though, Stevie had worked out of a restaurant in Dallas, and the owner at the time, their restaurant wasn't open. So they were very gracious and said, hey, you know what? You have this idea. You can just actually run it through my kitchen. You don't have to do it at home. The only thing I ask is I have a couple of kitchen guys who aren't working. So if you can give them something to do, that'll be awesome. So we did that. First week, I think we did like 150 sandwiches. Second week, it was up to like 500. By that point, we had automated it a little bit, so it was no more DMs. We actually created our website, our first version of the website, and then it just went crazy. It was like 500 sandwiches, then it went to 1,000 sandwiches. Then the next week after that was like 2,000. So by our first month, we were operating around 3,000 to 4,000 sandwiches every week that when we launched.
Wow.
And the cases kind of just stayed at that point. And then, so by about August of last year, June, July, August, now things were kind of starting to open back up. Our friend's restaurant, he was like, hey, I have to take it back, I have to open. And I'm in California. So I'm like, hey, look, if we really believe we have a pop-up concept, then we should be able to move it, like literally pick it up, drop it somewhere else, and it should work, right? So this is really just a test to see how adaptable our team was, or how flexible we were, and if people really liked the product. And so we went to California, Orange County, which is where I'm at, and instantly it was a big hit, bigger than it was even in Dallas after we had been there for a couple of months. We saw bigger results in California the first week we were there, and then things went just crazy because this is around the time that Chrissy Teigen had reached out to us. And so we ended up going to Chrissy Teigen and John Legend's house to do a private lunch with them and their team. She posted us, and it was like trying to drink out of a fire hose from that point on.
Oh gosh.
So our social media, is where we live on. So things just started going crazy. Like we were just getting reached out by people from all over the country. And that's really kind of what expanded the evolution of our pop-ups. It's, okay, where can we go now? So we've been all around Texas, so Dallas, Houston, Austin. We've been in New Orleans. We did San Francisco, and then now we're in Oklahoma City. So that's kind of our story in in a nutshell.
In a milk bread.
Yeah.
There are so many questions that came to mind, or thoughts that came to mind while you did that. One, I love the fact that it wasn't a premeditated. Well, kind of premeditated pop-up concept, but it was during COVID. You adapted to that situation. You're like, let's test out the fact if this is truly a pop-up, right?
Yeah. So I would say we knew we had the components to be successful. Like I truly believe in Stevie's skill in the kitchen and his imagination when it comes to food. I'm very confident in what myself, Angel, and Andy bring to the table. Did we know it was going to be like a huge success this quickly? Of course not. I don't think anyone would expect that. But I knew we would be successful. No way would I know where we would be a year later or even a few months after that. Yeah. I even told Stevie at one point, I think I tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, this egg sandwich got us to Chrissy Teigen's house. You know what I mean? So me even telling the story, it sounds just super surreal. And, we're just excited to be on it and on this ride. But yeah, it was never planned to be what it is. But as it turns out, we do, have some kind of more steps in motion to progress and evolve. And for us, it's really, we always want to think of ourselves. It's kind of bigger than just what we're doing now. We really think we're kind of shaking things up from a food industry standpoint. Like how you can be creative and be innovative with serving food, and hopefully we're gonna start introducing some newer things that it's just gonna shake things up, and that's kind of what we're hoping to do.
Yeah, I think that I think for any business owner or anybody who's planning on opening a restaurant, right, there's so much risk that comes into that. but the whole pop-up thing, you going from one place to the other, like you said, adaptability has to be at the max. Going in, finding a restaurant, connecting with people, finding a space where you can have your chefs there, prepare the food, finding right resources, make sure you have like the ingredients that you need to make your sandos. I wanted to ask you, like you said, when you were in Tokyo, you would go to the convenience stores, and you said that there would be just a diverse selection of all types of sandos. Like, was it really difficult for you guys to decide, okay, what will the options be? There's so many amazing ones.
Well, I would answer that question like this, is that over the history that we've been doing this, the past 12 months, the first 3 or 4 months that we were still kind of parked in Dallas in one place, that was really when we were doing a lot of R&D. So it was not just to test kind of infrastructure and operations and workflow, but we were also playing around with the menu a lot. So during that period of time, I think we probably introduced 15 to 20 different types of sandwiches. And the 4 that really 5 that we carry forward to each of our pop-ups over the last few months have been kind of the dialed in ones from working on this process for the first few months. And we'll try to throw in some surprises here and there. But yeah, it's because when we go to a new city, that product is brand new to everyone. Even though we've been doing those same sandwiches maybe for the last 4 months, it's new to you guys here in OKC. So that's kind of the menu we run with. But that's an evolution of lots of different iterations. So, and also it's all about season, what's available in the season and all that. So, when we were in Dallas, it went from like the summer to the fall. So our fruit sandwich went from strawberries, which were high in summer season, to a melon sandwich.
Nice.
That was kind of what was available at the time. So that all kinds of definitely comes into play. The 4 sandwiches we do now just complement each other really well. So we do kind of 2 traditional things, which is the egg salad and the pork. And then the fruit I would say, is a very traditional item to find overseas. But the fruit that we use is seasonal and local to us. And then the hot chicken, that's our take on the current trend of hot chicken. Texas hot chicken, not the other one. So, and Christina, you had mentioned kind of every time we go to a new city. Yeah, every time we go to a new city, it's like doing a startup. So it's about finding the location, finding additional hands to help us kind of execute, putting in a brand new supply chain. So all of that stuff we figure out. But we kind of run like a machine now. So it's really, it's complicated, but at the same time, we've been doing it for so long that it's actually kind of the fun part. It's like a puzzle.
It's like you kind of know the steps to take to be able to pull it off.
It's solving a Rubik's Cube. Well,
well, one thing I've learned already is how disappointed I am in Oklahoma convenience stores compared to Tokyo.
Everywhere in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love the focus around creativity, and it really sounds like making sure the product that you're providing, there's a lot of thought, and you've mentioned R&D a lot, and that's a constant process. So I guess my question would be, what's next? I mean, it is, we talked about the start of Sando.itchi, that, yes, it had some thought behind it, but it really was kind of this perfect storm of a lot of things coming together. So in keeping those creative juices going, what are the next steps that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the R&D piece first. I always tell people that we have Michelin star caliber chefs in the kitchen making sandwiches.
They're going to be good sandwiches.
Hopefully, but definitely our guys in the kitchen have the way they attack food or embrace food is probably the better way to say it, is such at a high level mindset. So I always joke with Stevie that he's the guy that puts food on a plate with a tweezer. But that was kind of like his background. And he'll correct me and say, I don't use tweezers, I use chopsticks. Now he's having to figure out,
a different material, right?
Yeah, he used to be the omakase chef at Morimoto, so you're doing a minimal amount of plates at a high, like with very high quality.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're having to do a lot of sandwiches, but also maintaining a quality and an aesthetic to it. So he's had to pivot. But what's next for us is we definitely still are looking back to Dallas because that's kind of home base for us. We're working on our first brick and mortar. So that's kind of come full circle to come back to do a brick and mortar in Dallas. And if it works out the way we plan, sandwiches will still be a huge component of the menu, but it's just going to be a part of the menu. So we want to expand the concept to Japanese lunch and breakfast. Also give Stevie a place to, again, do more R&D and kind of call home.
Yeah,
we're going to continue doing the pop-ups. The pop-ups for us it's like our where we get our energy from, and plus we use it to our advantage because we're able to enter a city really quickly. In most cases, we're introducing that community to Japanese sandwiches. So I even try to tell the team, it's like, imagine we were the restaurant in the 80s that was introducing the United States to sushi, and we're in some ways doing that with Japanese sandwiches. So a lot of the communities we're going to, we're kind of the first to market with it. We're establishing our brand, and hopefully we come back in some shape or form in a permanent way after we leave that city. So without giving any more details, that's kind of the next evolution of what we're doing, is to go back to a lot of the cities that we've been before and seen a lot of success with, and to create something permanent. But I'll tell you that it won't be like a brick and mortar though. So being permanent, but without a brick and mortar.
Okay. Nice. So a food truck.
Not on wheels either. But a lot of different ideas are being kind of played around with right now.
Nice.
Well, judging by the long lines that I have seen every time I've driven past the pop-up, it will be well received, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Christina and I can testify to the sandwiches and how good they were. Yeah. And that hot sauce, I gotta tell you, that was awesome. And you make that in-house, right? That hot sauce is your own blend.
Yeah, it's we call it that cowboy hot sauce. Cool. It's our own truffle hot sauce that we've actually been bottling. So I don't know if you guys got a bottle or not.
We were fighting over the bottle, so we ended up sharing. We were like, have
there you go.
Yeah, I gave Christina some, but then I kept the bottle.
We've been working on that recipe as far as because hot sauce is different when you heat it up and you're able to dunk our chicken into it versus it's sitting room temp. So we've kind of been playing around with the final recipe and getting it bottled. But yeah, that's hopefully we want to have Sando.itchi hot sauce like at Whole Foods. You know what I mean? Like,
heck yes.
That hot sauce
that's
really,
the dream.
really good.
Yeah.
We always think about the impossible and figure out how to get there. So
good.
That's the way to do it.
Yep.
So one final question before we wrap. Why Oklahoma? What made you pick Oklahoma City and that location in the Plaza District?
Because we're that awesome, right?
Oh, I mean, we are, yeah. But you gotta get the different perspective.
Right.
It's like making sandwiches. I think these are great. What will other people think?
I love the South. I love where I come from, which is Texas. I still consider it very much home, even though I've been in California for almost 7 years now. But Oklahoma is important for us because it allows us to really kind of say, this works in a bigger city, works in a city like LA or San Francisco that has seen a lot of diversity with food and the community. But it's important for us to be able to go to a city like Oklahoma and say, hey, you guys have never maybe seen this product, and how would you embrace it? We I definitely thought it was going to be successful. It's been way more successful than even we expected. So that's just, kudos to Oklahoma City for being very opening and embracing something new, and even not just the concept, but the food itself. We've definitely felt the love that we get there in Oklahoma City. But how we ended up landing there was we've been working with Eat, which is our developer for our sales platform.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first started, we threw kind of something together, and it's always been something like we've hacked together, and we just needed a much better solution to be able to do the volume that we do. And we connected with Eat. Mark and Sam there have been amazing to work with, and they're based in Oklahoma City. So as we were talking about where we're going to be next, they were like, "Yeah, well, why don't you try Oklahoma?" And kind of like a sideways of suggestion, because they were, I guess, thinking we wouldn't even consider it. But I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, it's a few hours away from Dallas, so logistically it's easy, right? We don't have to hop on a plane. We can just put our guys into their cars and they can drive up.
Mm-hmm.
We know a ton of people in Oklahoma because it's just kind of like you live in Dallas, you just have people that live in Oklahoma City, or you have friends, or that you have an extended family or something that is there. So we knew there would be at least some support, even if no one showed up, we could get all our friends to show up. And funny enough, I used to live in Oklahoma City a long time ago, back in the early 90s when I was a kid. And I just have really good memories of it. And I was like, yeah, I love these kind of the smaller cities that still, kind of hold on to kind of what they're about. And so it was kind of a nostalgic thing for me. So it was kind of a personal thing. I was like, yeah, let's do Oklahoma City. And I was so happy to be back. That was probably my first time back in Oklahoma in over like 10 years. So
Wow.
Nice. It's changed a little bit, huh?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of new shiny parts that I don't remember. But all the things I remember as a kid, there was, the more like a feeling was still definitely there. My parents used to have a pho restaurant on 23rd and Classen, across the street from this milk bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And that bottle is
milk bottle.
there.
Yeah.
Brahms, so a lot of things that I remember from a kid I definitely ate Brahms when I was there too. So
hey, you gotta try their sandwich too, right?
I mean, I love it all. I love the high and the low when it comes to food. I love a hole in the wall burger spot just as much as I love, a 5-star fine dining restaurant. It's more about the vibe and the energy you get from it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like how that food is prepared is and can still be delicious, right? No matter what type of restaurant or
the price point
or anything like that.
Yeah, it's more about how it makes you feel.
Right.
That's why everyone loves their parents' cooking, because that's nourishment, that's love, that's what you're brought up on, and that's what creates your palate. So that's why sometimes if I eat something out, like I love Vietnamese food, if I go to a restaurant, I'm always like, it's not as good as how my mom makes it, but that's exactly what it is, because of how it makes you feel.
Right.
And, that's what we want with our food, is we want people to just feel like, like some connection to it, more than just, you're eating a sandwich.
Yeah. Well, Keith, I know you've got somewhere to be in a few minutes, and thank you so much for giving your time and jumping on this podcast. I mean, it was pretty last minute, right? You were like, "Hey, got an announcement. I want to come on the podcast and make it," and we were just like, "Let's do it tomorrow."
Yeah, well, you guys came out to our media day, and it was kind of hectic, and so I knew I was spreading myself a little thin, and I wanted to give you the time and attention that your podcast deserves. So I was like, hey, we should schedule something. But yeah, I'll plug that we will be reopening our website on Sunday at 5 p.m. There's only 2 days this time, so I think our first week we sold out in about 17 minutes. Second week we upped the volume and we sold out in about 25 minutes.
Wow.
I would imagine that this Sunday would go even faster. So
So
if you for sure want to get something from us, make sure you set an alarm.
I'll say thank you for upping that quantity, because I was definitely one of that 22-minute range, because I was driving back from Dallas actually, and I was like, man, I got to order my sandwiches. And I barely got on, and it said 13 left for the hot chicken one, and I was like, whew, just got it.
Nice.
And so you're gonna have a surprise install for is it going to be both days or one of the days?
Well,
How does that special twist work?
The Tuesday, Thursday days that our pre-orders will be available, that's going to be very straightforward. What we've done, it's going to be a last day that we're going to announce something special that we're doing.
Okay.
And I'll mention, actually, I have a few minutes, so I'll mention to you what it ties back to. Is that when Stevie was back in Dallas, this was before Sando.itchi was even anything. We didn't even know what that would be. He was toying around with a dry age Kobe beef and Wagyu burger that he was making for himself. And then Angel lived near the restaurant he was at, would drop in, pay him a visit, and Stevie would be like, "Hey, you want to try the best burger you ever eaten?" And Angel would say, "Yeah, of course. Why not?" And Angel called me that day and said, "Hey, Stevie's onto something. He just gave me the best burger I've ever eaten in my life." And then he called me the next day. "Hey, I just went back. I got the burger again. Best burger I've ever eaten in my life." And he called me a third time in that same week and said, "Hey, just ate the burger again." Angel is a very particular eater. Definitely like very specific with what he puts, into his body. So for him to tell me 3 times in 1 week that he ate the same thing, was like geeked about it. I was like, okay, we're onto something. So then that actually kind of started formulating the idea of what Sando.itchi could be. It was going to be, more sandwiches, not burger. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing as a special treat, is that we're actually going to do the Sando.itchi burger. Hopefully, I'm not speaking ahead of that.
We shall see.
Yeah, so that's in the works.
Oh man, I can't wait.
I've never had the burger, so
alarms.
you guys are going to probably get it before I get it.
I was gonna ask, are you gonna fly down for that?
Yeah, so while all that was happening, I was in California, so I've never had the burger. But Stevie's actually gonna be flying up here Saturday and then go back to Oklahoma on Sunday. So I told him bring me a burger.
He's gonna make you one, yeah.
So yeah, it's come full circle. I'm so glad it's happening in Oklahoma City. I mean, that was all happening, in Dallas before we started Sando.itchi. We launched it in June of last year. A year later, our 1-year anniversary, we're in Oklahoma, and hopefully we're able to serve the food that kind of was the catalyst for everything. So thank you, Oklahoma City, for being the audience for it.
Thank you for making Oklahoma City an audience.
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Keith, for
I mean,
bringing
stuff like this
Sando.itchi.
it just gets that, like, it gives you energy, but I think it gives energy to the people in Oklahoma and all the restaurateurs and everyone that's just like loves the food that we have here.
Right.
So, and it gives us energy because we're like, yes, this was, I mean, we've talked about this off air multiple times, just because it was different. It was good. There was so much attention given to every single detail in the sandwich. Yeah, it's incredible. So thank you again for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys, Nabil, Josh, Christina. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
And if you haven't done so yet, follow Sando.itchi on Instagram at Sando.itchi, Sandoitchi.
There's a period in there.
Right? And there's a period, Sando.itchi.
That was impressive spelling, though.
Thank you. I was just rolling off. I'm like, hope I'm doing this right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
And make sure to follow OKC Foodcast while you're on there at OKC Foodcast.
Yeah, follow us on Facebook. Also, look us up, OKC Foodcast. And we have a Twitter, I guess.
We do, but we don't use it, so don't follow us there.
Yeah, just ignore that.
No, but we do love to hear from you. You can find us on that Instagram, on Facebook. Message us on both of those platforms. Love to hear your ideas, suggestions, feedback, comments, hate mail. Let's not do that. But
we just won't mention it.
that's right. We'd love to hear from you here on OKC Food Podcast.
That's right. And if you've tried Sando.itchi, give us a shout. Let us know what your experience was. What do you think of the fruit sandwich? That was the most surprising one to me. I mean, it was delicious. It was light, but let us know what you thought. Next week we'll actually do our first episode that we had planned before this one.
Yeah, we're doing this all backwards.
So yeah, so next week you'll get to learn a little bit more about Josh and Christina and what makes them tick in terms of food. So until next time, eat well and be happy.